Welcome to Rotten Potatoes with Forrest.
And Bryce. And we're here to ruin your favorite movies, TV shows, and video games.
This week we watched Dave Chappelle's new special on Netflix, which was very controversial probably for a lot of people. And
Yeah, it's a little, how do you
yeah,
say, lit.
he, he, he he got in depth on a lot of different subjects that are probably touchy for some.
Yeah, so trigger warning there.
Yeah.
Um, Forrest and I have an obsession with comedians and whatnot, so I think this is our first tackle on a comedy show, but I don't think it's going to be our last one. Um,
Yeah.
and this is, and he says it in the show that this is his third installment on doing um, the specials for Netflix. And like I've listened to like Tom Segura quite a bit. And like if you think about it, every time that a show releases, they have to cut out everything they've done and known and start something brand new. Like have to start like their job over from scratch. And
Hmm.
like granted they probably have a few jokes that are kind of in the ditch, waiting to get, picked up and whatnot. But can you imagine like doing an entire show that you've worked on for years, and then you do a special, and then you're not even allowed to touch it anymore. Like it's just you have to like just forget that you even like
Yeah. That's
even did your
crazy.
blood, sweat, and tears for it. Like I don't know.
That's hard to imagine. But I mean, I guess it's the same way. Like, once you finish a product, that's what it is. Like it's a movie, it's a finished product, or if it's a show, it's when it's done, it's done. But
Yeah, that's valid. I guess I didn't think about that. I was just thinking about like
yeah, but it's
something you work
almost
on.
different though because a comedian is like a live performer and they do stuff like that all the time. So it's like
And a lot of them tell stories, which
right,
obviously, you got to know at one point in time they've got to be fake or some shit because to have that much
or they
content.
yeah, yeah,
And the crazy thing is, like, if you look at like the other comedian specials, like when they put out a special, it's like years, like several years, like maybe like 5 6 years between specials. So they have
hmm,
this group of years that they can do, on one special on one run. Versus Dave has put out, I think, a special every other year. So like he's had to work on that hour and get it down pat
right,
to, and then he loses it all, then has to build it up again.
right,
Um, I did like the fact that he's tied all three of those together, and he even said that like I'm done doing this shit for
right,
right now. Like we're gonna hold off
yeah,
and and switch something new. And so, you
yeah,
know, it's kind of cool. Oh, there was a joke in the intro, and I was like, oh, so the COVID part, that part I think really kind of hit with me because like obviously you never got COVID, but I did. Um, and it's so true because when he was like, when I found out I had COVID, I felt like I was one of the dirtiest people out there. And it's so true because like, and I don't even know how to describe the feeling, but like I felt the same way that as soon as I got COVID, I was like, I'm a disgusting human being. And then I realized who I, got it from. So it made a whole, completely different than just like getting it from
hmm,
a stranger and whatnot. But, um,
right,
but it felt it at the same time. Like, what did I do? Like, was I like, who else did I infect and who's dead because of me type deal?
right,
Definitely had those thoughts, especially when you're in quarantine, and how he was talking about like all the different shit that he discovered and learned during quarantine. 100% me, because I literally just sat there like I ordered DoorDash for food, or I was in my room. Like those are the only two things that I did, and it was just miserable. And there's just too many hours of YouTube to just power through. And like that's the crazy thing is there's so much YouTube. So I understood when he was like, I'm learning all this shit for the first time, like all these conspiracy theories, yada yada yada. I was like,
hmm,
that was me. That was 100% me. Like, I think I went like on a Joe Rogan binge. I went on like a Tom Segura binge. I think I went and watched all sorts of different like TV shows and movies,
hmm.
just like trying to kill time because 14 days
It's a long
bottled
time.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it
long
was
time to have to be with just yourself.
yeah. Because I didn't want to like go out and do anything. Like, I didn't want to infect anybody. So like my truck
Hmm.
sat for 2 weeks,
Right.
and I was like, I'm just gonna try to figure out what the hell I'm doing. I
Yep.
don't know what I'm doing.
Which is the way to be. I mean, It's better
Yeah.
than doing being the other way
And
around it.
like
So
the one thing that annoyed the shit out of me, so like in DoorDash, you can like put in the app that like I want you to leave the food like on the porch. Like I don't want you to ring the doorbell. I don't want you to do anything. So like I put it in there. I shit you not, 9 times out of 10, the fucking DoorDash guy would ring the doorbell and then just sit there. And I'm like waiting for him to like set it down, and he'd ring the doorbell again, just waiting. And so I finally like put in the DoorDash app like, I have COVID, set it down, please. And like you'd see him like freak out, set it down, like run off. There was only like a handful of people that
ah!
like read the instructions and set it down and walked away.
Right.
But like there were several people that just like kept ringing the doorbell, like, I'm not leaving until I hand you this food, even though it says that I'm not supposed to hand you this food.
Crazy.
It's just people are so stupid. But
Yeah.
yeah, I totally understand. And yeah, it's just it was a rough 2 weeks, and I'm glad
Mhm.
that I got it done and over with, and vax and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah, um I did like the fact that he was like, I got Johnson and Johnson,
Yeah. That was
the
so
most thing to
funny.
get. I was dying because I was like, yeah, the Johnson Johnson is such like a trash fucking vaccine
Well,
compared to the other two.
it's just like anybody that was like, I want to be responsible, but I'm also lazy. Like this is like, I'll take this one quick one, I'll be done with it, and like
I don't want to
scrap
go
it
back
and
for a
go.
second one.
Right, and it's like, it's like for something that important, I feel like it's you might as well get a better one. But like Johnson and Johnson's also like 60 to 80% effective or whatever. But like,
Right, like it still has like some kind of effectiveness to it, but it's not as good as like
yeah.
Moderna or Pfizer.
But the joke was hella solid because it's like everyone's been at that point in their life where they're like that lazy and they're like, I don't want to go do this. Like, if I do it, I'll just do the one. Because what did
Yeah.
he say? Like the same thing that they give the homeless people or whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I was like, God dang it, man, that's so funny. Like,
Give the same one the homeless are
but I
getting.
mean, like, at least they're getting it out to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's
I
true.
mean, he had a ton of good jokes in the special, and like a lot of them were controversial, but a lot of them were just like that one, and were just fun. You know?
Yeah. Like it was pretty great. Yeah, there was a lot of hotbed ones. I'm trying to think of ones that like
Yeah.
hit on that are not as hotbed.
Right. I mean, I keep thinking back to like the final one, so I don't want to say that one yet. But like that one's like the one that sticks out the most, like controversial, like story wise and like everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. A lot of the other ones just kind of trickled through, and like I didn't pick up on them super heavy, you know.
Right. Cause like Tom's, which is this is really sad, but like I can recite like almost all of Tom's jokes.
Really?
Yes, dude, I love his specials so fucking much. Dave's like I can watch him once and then call it a day. It
Yeah.
wasn't really like this is something I need to watch.
Hmm.
But yeah, Tom's are fucking fantastic. They are every single one of them is just a fucking killer.
Hmm.
So
I think you have like other comedians like Bert, where he tells like an entire story for one of his sets. His machine story. Um, we also have other sets of his where it's like multiple just jokes or whatever, stuff that he's gone through or
yeah,
you
that's the
know,
funny part is that Bert is still doing the machine story, and he put that on tape like 4 specials ago.
yeah.
And there's like people that have yelled at him. They're like, "We are not leaving until we
Right.
hear the
We
machine."
need the machine. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a kind of a crazy thing in comedy is like you have to like deal with taking what's in your life and bringing it to an interesting story. Like even if it's like something simple and like kind of a basic, like lots of people go through this, like, but I'm gonna jazz it up and make it interesting and make it funny in order to make people think it's funny and like laugh and like have a good time. And
Right.
I think that's like it also makes me wonder like how much of this is real, how much of it's like dressed up, and how much like do they believe of it in the end, Like how much does it like become
I
their
would say
reality?
a good chunk has to be fake, or
Yeah.
that they have like heard it from other people.
Right.
Maybe we should have had Buck on this podcast because he would have been able to dive in and shown his secrets.
He's doing a live show tonight though, so
Yeah, he's probably been a little drunk by now.
yeah.
Uh, but that would have been cool to actually have him on there because then he would, kind of dive in and let you
Mhm.
know what's real, what's fake, what's made up. But
Right.
I think with every story that they make, there's, I would say maybe 10% truth at the bare minimum. Maybe some of
Mhm.
them are 100% true, but I think all of the stories have at least some kind of origin to them that's like where it spikes from. And
Yeah.
and because like Bert and Tom, they both do like stories, like it's all about their life, and
Hmm.
Dave Chappelle does the same thing, like where he talks quite a bit about his life, and then you have like one pop comedians and stuff like that that I don't really enjoy them as much. Maybe that's why I like Joe Rogan and Dave and Tom and Bert because it's like they're like sharing their life with you and it's funny. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's I enjoy that. I think it's
More of a connection than it is just jokes,
yeah.
that you don't
Um,
really connect to in any way.
right, exactly. So it's like, oh, I know that. Like I've done that shit. Like I've
Yeah.
like when Bert's like secret time. It's like 100% like those are a thing. Like secret
Yeah.
time, I'm not supposed to do this. Secret time, I'm not supposed to do that. And
Yeah.
it's fucking great. But yeah, and then I think like Netflix, it's so crazy that like I think when we were growing up, like HBO was the place for comedy specials.
Hmm.
I mean, I felt like there was either that or Comedy Central, but like
Right.
Comedy Central had like the goody two shoes that there wasn't a whole lot of like dark or
Um,
like
it depends what time you hit
aggressive.
it. If you hit it late night, you can get some interesting stuff on Comedy Central. But if you watch like normal hours, like not like 2 or 3 in the morning, then yeah, you got the basic, like super simple, like non-aggressive comics,
Yeah,
that weren't gonna
but
step on any toes.
which it was like Comedy Central kind of started out as that, then they started adding in all sorts of shit and shows and whatnot. But like HBO, I
Mhm.
felt like they had some like I think what's the guy that shakes around when he talks and he's like always pissed off and angry.
I don't know.
That's the first one that I saw on HBO. My, is it Lewis Black?
Might be,
He
yeah.
he's an older guy, just constantly is pissed off at everybody
Glasses.
and just yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
guy. That was like the first one, and like so many words were said in that special. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, like I don't know
'Cause
if I'm supposed to be listening to this.
yeah, because he was an accepted,
Yeah. He was
and
the
his
principal.
role in that was so good. It's so
Yep.
funny. Like his parents come to the school and they're like, you're here to join the system, become a cog in the machine," and he's like, "To get a good job," and it's great. Um,
He's one of my favorite all-time comedians. I think
yeah,
his bits and stuff like that are pretty great.
yeah. I mean,
But
what's weird about Dave Chappelle is like I feel like we don't see as much of him anymore, and like we used to see a lot of Dave Chappelle like growing up. I feel like, and then a lot of like controversial like political, all kinds of stuff happened, and like he kind of just stopped and didn't want to do anything for a while. And like he would do stuff here and there, but like he
he
just
moved to a house in Ohio.
yeah,
Owns a farm now out in the middle of a small podunk town because what you were saying, like just didn't give a
yeah,
shit about anybody. Went and bought a fucking farm in
yeah,
Ohio. Like what the fuck? And like that was another thing. Like if we're dialing back, to Comedy Central, like, and I was watching an interview with him. It was a few months ago, but he was not paid properly or like nickels on the
hmm,
dollar type deal for the Chappelle show and got fucked real hard, and that's why he left that last season because he was just I'm
right,
fucking over it. Like I'm not getting paid. Didn't get a single dime at all. And then I think him and Netflix like they got some kind of deal going
yeah.
on. I
There
don't
was
know
some
what it
beef there
is.
too. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember hearing about it and like
Well, it wasn't a beef. The one that I think of, there might have been, but the one that I'm thinking of. So Netflix picks up the Chappelle show and throws it on the streaming platform service. Dave
mhm,
immediately calls his agent, who whatever calls whoever, and he tells him that in the contract he's not allowed to get royalties, he's not allowed to do this or that, like he's not getting paid on it. And he asked Netflix, "Can you please remove it off of your platform?" And it got removed that same day that he called and inquired about it.
hmm,
And then Netflix then went and spoke, I think, on the behalf of Dave, with Dave too as well, to Comedy Central, and then Comedy Central rewrote the contract to the Chappelle show, and now he's getting royalties, he's getting all sorts of shit, and he's getting
wow,
everything. So then Netflix put the Chappelle show back on their streaming platform
hmm,
because Dave was going to start getting paid on it.
that's good.
So pretty dope, pretty cool. I mean, they might have something controversial that happened, but I haven't heard about that
I just
piece.
remember
So
hearing about something a long time ago to where like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like long, long time ago, like not like recent,
yeah,
but yeah. But then
but
he has
yeah,
some
I
issue
think
with like HBO too or something. at some point?
Well, then HBO said "fuck you," and then put on the
Right.
Chappelle Show on HBO. So they didn't
Yeah.
give two shits, and he asked them to not do it, and they're like, "No, we're making money." Like,
It's too bad.
and Netflix is like, "No, we'll pull for you and whatnot." And I think they were supposed to. He was supposed to have a special. I think he was originally supposed to have a special on HBO. Then Netflix came in and said,
Hmm.
"We want you here." So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to take this to the halfway point. So if you are still listening, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. We're Rotten Potatoes. We also have a Historical Potatoes, which is a pretty cool podcast. Um, it dives deep into stuff that you're not going to find in your history books, your textbooks, or even in class. We try to get like weird and obscure events and kind of bring them to light. It's a pretty cool podcast. I think we're on what 7 episodes over there, or 6 episodes, I think, possibly. Whatever. We're gonna have one out anyway, so we might get eventually up to 7.
Mhm.
Um, we have a number of episodes over there, which is pretty awesome, pretty cool. It's in our link tree. It'll be in the bio of this podcast. So go click on that. Go listen to there. Promise you, it's quite a bit of funniness, a lot of death, a lot of amazing history.
Yeah.
Um, and then, so in that link tree, you'll also find wherever else you find it. So if you're watching it on Twitch right now, you can, look at the VOD on Facebook or on YouTube. If you found us watching it on Twitch, but you'd rather listen to it on the podcast later, um, you can come back over and we have Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere that you would listen. We have it all there in our link tree. Same thing if you're listening to it now, but if you'd rather watch our beautiful ugly mugs, you go to Linktree, find us on YouTube, Facebook, or if you catch us in the moment, stream it on Twitch. Um, Speaking of Twitch, we have Forrest's stream, we have my stream, we have all sorts of shit on there as well. It's also in our Linktree. And then just a few things that if you want to save money and want to start your own podcast, we got the Honey, Save Money with Honey, and then we also got um, Buzzsprout um, podcast if you want to start
Mhm.
your own as well. Am I missing anything, sir?
I think that covers it. Buzzsprout, if you sign up, you get a $20 Amazon gift card. So it
Yeah,
basically pays for itself the first month. So if you want to try out podcasting, it's really not a losing situation at all. So well
absolutely.
worth the shot you put into it.
Yeah. And don't forget us to give a like, subscribe, follow, click, follow. Oh, we have TikTok as well. Follow us on
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So make sure to build up our engagement and follow us and like everything and
Hmm.
whatnot and subscribe and become a fan. Or wait, Facebook doesn't have fans anymore. Just like our page. All right. So sorry about that mid roll intro. I was trying to throw it in the beginning and then
Yeah.
I realized that I didn't throw it in the beginning because I think we're just so
Yeah.
trying to navigate these waters here
Yeah.
so well that
But
we can get back into it.
that allows us to get into the meat and potatoes of this now, I think, Um and so like I think his most recent like I don't know, you maybe you know it and like what happened with Dave and like the community of the LGBTQ. Like I don't know exactly what went down with that. But that's probably a good over half of his special is about that.
Um, I would say 75% of all 3 specials
Right, yeah.
is
But like
over
I'm just
that.
saying like
I
this one
mean,
specifically, but
it is
yeah,
majorly hit,
right.
majorly hit.
Yeah. And I mean, he started off soft, like, and like he talked about a few things with like how like he went to a bar one time and like there was a lady there that looked like a dude, and he was like, "Back off, man! Like I'll fight you," And then it was just this
I'm
this
so
lady's
glad
girlfriend
TMZ read through the bullshit.
that that he thought was a man and almost got in a fight with, and yeah, but and then he got all scared because she actually got into like a boxing stance and was gonna mess him up.
This
But
bitch knows how to fight.
yeah, he like backs off of a swing and yeah.
Yeah,
But it was kind of like lighthearted, like low punch jokes that were like easy, and then like he got into like some more serious stuff.
yeah,
But
right. Please tell me. Okay, so I'm not going to try to step on any toes, and I apologize if I offend anybody. But did you see the people that were sitting like 3 rows back from the main stage?
I saw him a couple times.
There was an old lady and a ally, I will say. I don't know exactly what that. It might not even be a lady, a person
Yeah.
that would be representative of the LGBTQ plus community. They
Okay.
were sitting about 3 rows in, and the camera kept panning to them
Oh,
during, and it was just stone cold dead face. Like they wanted just to beat the shit out of Dave Chappelle the entire time. Like I'll have to find some highlights because I've been seeing them all over
yeah,
TikTok as well. I'll have to send
yeah.
it over to you because like it'll like say Dave will like say like a hard heavy joke, and then it'll pan over to that those two people, and it's just very
Gotcha.
upset,
That's
very
unfortunate.
like yes,
I mean, and like it's almost like the Garth Brooks thing to me, to where like Tom's people are always like popping into Garth Brooks stuff and like saying like, "Oh, where are the bodies? Where are the bodies?" and all this stuff, and like just being
dude.
weird about it.
The family
And
needs closure, Garth Brooks. The family needs
and
closure.
and like it's almost like people from that community are now like everywhere Dave is, and they're just there because he also talks about
Yeah,
the mom that is in the bar and like she comes to like talk to him. He buys her a drink because he's trying to be nice. You know, it's the holidays, and he talks to her for a while, and then she shows him a picture of her daughter, and she's like, "Oh, she's trans or whatever," and then like she like catches him. She tries to like catch him in like this thing of like I
yeah,
don't know, and all the time he's just trying to be nice to this lady, you know, and then she just does this to him, and it's like it's just messed up.
yeah, definitely. And like I understand from the whole Tom side because yes, because if you go to Instagram, anyone that doesn't know the main mommies or the jeans and whatnot, go to Garth Brooks's Instagram or Facebook. Look at the comments. You're gonna be like, "Where were the bodies, Garth? Like, families need closure, Garth. Like, Falcon Car Wash. You got um, Turn Me Into a Telescope. That banana split. Like, even what is such a like a jeans reference now, and it's got to wear them high and tight to decipher what's going on the Garth Brooks Facebook and Instagram. But it's like overloaded. Like, that's the funny part. Is like their fans aren't even at the top. Like, it's like you'd have to like scroll to like find like you bet I'm coming up in May. I'm sorry, I just keep thinking of the references on there, but you'd have to like scroll to like see like an actual fan like say something. And it's funny because there's some fans that get pissed and they're like, "Why do you keep commenting on this? Like Garth has never killed anybody." Like, blah 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 blah. But it's just I don't know, it just cracks
Yeah,
me up. But yeah, and like and I don't know, is that the final? I think that is the final where he talks about the father and daughter. Is that what you're talking? Is that what the final joke was, or is there a joke after that? Where he's gonna
yeah.
like,
I mean, yeah, like the well, the final joke's kind of like this more of a storyline than it is a joke, but it's about like the opener he had for a while and like
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that, but I couldn't remember if that was the last one or not.
Yeah,
The
yeah. I
last,
think that's the last one.
but I think Dave has a different side of comedy than because like even like Bert and Tom, like they're trying for laughs, and Dave like tells a story and doesn't give a shit if you laugh. Like
Right.
it's like he is more involved in like seriousness, whether it be something stupid, but like he has like a lot of like I don't know, he gets dark real quick on a lot of his shit. Like it's
Yeah.
like it takes a turn.
I mean, like 5 minutes into this one, I was like, "Oh shit, we're going there." Okay, like, and like it only got worse from there. So I was like,
I love
"Okay."
how he was like, "Oh, if that joke ruffled your
Right.
feathers, we're about to get a lot darker."
Yeah, I was like, "Here we go."
Cause that, yeah, I think that was like right after his first joke. He's like, "Oh, is
Yeah,
that
because I was
offensive
like,
humor?"
"Dang, he ripped it off right away." Like, okay.
We're about to get like in the whole thing with the baby too. That was fucking nuts. Like that was I don't
I
even
had no
know who
idea
that
about that.
is. So like I'm like I've heard him from people, but like I don't
I
listen
think
to him
he's
or
just
anything
a
like that.
rapper. I
So,
mean, I don't really know him either, but
but that whole story right there was just and I haven't looked it up to fact check it or anything to see what the whole incident was in the first half or the second half. But
yeah,
I was like, damn. I was like, he's spitting facts out or spitting whatever. I mean, they could not be facts, I guess. Just spitting shit out. But
yeah,
yeah, it's opener. So if you wanna start it out, then we can.
that's fine. So like for a while, he had a friend that was trans, and he had her as an opener for his show, and the original story is that she just bombed like hard, but she bombed and she did it like 100% bombed it, right? And like went up there and like put everything she had into it. And then she comes and sits back in the front row and watches. And then something happens and she makes a joke about it. And then everybody laughs. And then like it's like she recovered from that entire bomb, right? Like she fixed all the mistakes she had just made because she was funny in the moment and actually like a funny person. Um, and down the road, I don't know the details on it, like what happens, but like I think he kind of loses touch over time, and like they kind of separate, and like something happens on Twitter or something, and the shit blows up. She gets a lot of hate, like a ton of hate, and ends up taking her life, and that's kind of like the end of the story for the most part. Like he has a few jokes off of that, but like um in the moment I was like, is this real? Like is this really happening? Like because with comedy you never know, and I'm like,
Right.
would he really
Like you're
joke
waiting
about
for like the
that?
punchline
Right, and he was
that
then he
never
just
comes.
deadpan serious, and it's like, okay, like we're really there now, like
Yeah.
okay.
And I think, it's a shitty story. Like it's very sad. Like, and like obviously that he cared about her,
Mhm.
but the fact that he's like coming in and like creating the trust fund and whatnot for his daughter, right? Isn't her
Mhm.
daughter?
Yeah.
Or, and just making sure that she has a secured future.
Mhm.
I think is beyond amazing. Like it's just because Dave's a great person. Like if you watch like podcasts that he's in, or if you watch interviews, like he is
Right.
actually a super sincere, great person. Like I truly think that like he has always meant well and has always
Mhm.
cared for anyone and everyone that he can. Like he doesn't ever think he's too hot shit or too hot stuff. Like
Right.
he genuinely like if you don't succeed, I don't succeed type person. Like he brings whoever's around him up with him. Like he doesn't like leave people behind as far as what I believe. But so
Right.
I just think it's amazing that you know he's gonna make sure that her daughter is taken care of and all that stuff, and
Mhm.
make sure that she has a future too.
And the final joke he did say was really funny, and like it's fucked up, but it was funny. And he was like, Only a man would go out like that," and like I,
Yeah,
I was like, "That's really funny," and like, and he's like, and he ends it with like, "If y'all don't laugh at that, it's bullshit because she would have thought that shit was hilarious," and it's
yeah.
like, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Well, I also thought it was funny. It's like once she gets old enough, I'm gonna tell her how great of a um, woman he was, or whatever it was.
And
That
how great of a man he was.
yeah. Which I
Yeah,
mean, like obviously, like it hurt him probably to even write those jokes. So
yeah,
he needed some kind of humor and some kind of
hmm
pushback. To
right, to be able
you
to
know,
tell a story, like,
it's like a tragic comedy type deal or whatever, like comic relief
right,
to his. Because I guarantee you, it's probably a real story, and it probably hurt him a lot when he found out that
hmm
she had passed away, that she had done that, and wish that he probably could have reached out to her and prevented whatever caused the
yeah,
situation to happen. But yeah, I mean, it was a great special.
yeah.
I look forward to. I think Bert's movie should be coming out anytime now.
Where's it supposed to
Like
come out on? Do you know?
probably movie theaters. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
It's been like super
interesting.
secret.
It'd be interesting to see like what it's about. Like, I know it's supposed to be about like him and the machine story or whatever, but like, I
See,
don't
what
know. I just
I've
don't know.
gotten from the podcast is that it's gonna be like a flashback. It's gonna be present day. Like it's just
Hmm
gonna constantly go back and forth because
Right, because
Bert's in the movie.
they talk about him having his like fake wife or whatever, and like scenes with her and stuff like that. So it's like obviously like he's in it a lot. Because
And the fact
that's
that he
all he
didn't
talks
bring
about.
Tom along is such bullshit. He should have brought Tom along.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot funnier.
What'll be really funny is if he has a fake Tom in the movie that's really shitty looking, like a terrible looking Tom.
Like a fat,
Yeah,
fat
like a
fucking Tom.
terrible dude. I bet they do it. I bet he does. I bet he has a terrible looking Tom in the movie, and like they're like, "What is this guy? Like, who is this?" And it's like, "Oh, it's Tom, my best friend."
God damn it! I hope that happens. If not,
If
he
not, they
failed.
missed an opportunity, dude.
Missed the greatest
Oh,
opportunity in the whole fucking world.
damn.
Here's my fat friend Tom that's stuck in a wheelchair because he's so fat.
Yeah. And if you can't tell, we're big Two Bears fans,
Yeah,
so
Two Bears, One Cave. Such a great
really enjoy
podcast.
that.
Such a
But
fantastic podcast. And the fact that they're moving to Austin just makes me so sad.
true.
Even though I don't even live in California, but it's just
No.
the studio. They're getting rid of the studio.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so
but
like the Dave Chappelle thing, I think it was good, but if it's dark, so like if you're not into dark stuff or like
yeah, definitely trigger
super
warning.
super real stuff, like don't just jump in thinking it's all gonna be giggles and sunshine. So
If you haven't listened to his other two specials, I would suggest doing that as well. They're all pretty good.
right.
I think Sticks and Stones, Closer. I can't remember the other one. Damn.
I have a hard time remembering the names of comedy specials. I just don't
You got Ball
remember them.
Hog, Mostly Stories, Completely Normal. And then Bert, you got Secret Time, you got The Machine, you got, I think just those two. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like you
know
said,
them.
it's one of those things where I watch the comedy set and then it's like, okay, most
I
of the
watched
time.
it a few times. I don't know. I think they're great. I love comedy. I enjoy it greatly. But
Yeah.
anyways, so again, if you missed our mid roll, our link tree is going to be in the podcast. It's going to be in our description on everything. So follow that. And if you're watching in video and you prefer to listen, then it's there. If you're watching on Twitch but prefer to listen to it later, it's on there. Um, our Twitch streams are on there, personal ones. Anything and everything. Our historical potatoes. I don't even know how I missed that one. So we have a new podcast that we're coming out. It's under
Yep.
10 episodes so far. It's pretty amazing. We do weird and obscure things that is not covered in history class, not covered in history books, not covered in any kind of normal mainstream venue of history.
Hmm.
So we're bringing the weird things back to light. We're having a lot of fun. There's a lot of death involved there. It's quite a bit of fun death,
A
but
bit.
um, I have a lot of fun recording that. So hopefully that
Hmm.
takes off and we can retire this one. No, I'm just kidding. I want to record both. So just go there, have some fun, chill
Yeah.
out, listen, all that fun stuff. But I think I got it for the most part.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah.
I think that wraps it up for this week.
Tune in next week and we'll spoil something new.